Look at the adjective. Play.
And I have half the brain that you do. I told you. Oh, God.
Now is the franchise going to take the Viagra?
Gonna put the butts in the seat.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode number 68 of Because WCW, the podcast where the big boys play. My name is the Twisted Genius, Dean Ayers, and I'm joined as ever by my co-host, editor of hookedonwrestling.co.uk, sports journalist, and of course, Twitter blue tick wanker, Liam Happ. Hello to you, Liam.
Well, now you just made me sad.
Well, I thought I hadn't been abusive to you for a long, long time.
That's a lie.
I haven't been abusive to you on air for a long, long time.
Do you know what? If I did the appropriate research, I'm pretty sure that is also a lie.
I haven't been abusive to you for some time.
We've whittled you down to something vaguely resembling the truth, so I think I'll leave you there and stop harrying you to amend your statement. But yeah, how's the oven you're in? The oven over here is great.
Well, the oven, it's been 6 days of 30 degrees plus, and the thing is, my other half goes to me, why are you complaining? You talk about how the temperature is in Beirut, and by that I mean before there's a massive fucking great explosion. Thoughts go out to everyone in Beirut. If you can donate to the Lebanese Red Cross, please do. Anyway, back on topic. And I have to explain that in Beirut they have air conditioning and maids, and we have neither here in the UK. So it has been sweltering, but I must give a disclaimer that I'm sitting in my kitchen recording this, and my kitchen backs onto the garden, and I have got my back doors open, not like that, and we are potentially going to have a thunderstorm at any time. The sky has gone a bit black, so there may, dear viewers, listeners, that's the one. I was nearly going to call them readers then. To our listeners, that I may at some point have to say I need to pause this to shut the doors before the world ends. So we'll see what happens. But bear in mind that I was the victim of a flood 6 years ago in the summer, a summer thunderstorm, when I lived in a basement flat, and I basically lost all of my possessions because they all got flooded. So yeah, don't have fond memories of summer thunderstorms.
No, I bet you don't. But I've got to be honest, from my personal selfish point of view, I am kind of hoping we can pick up some of the noise from this anticipated storm here on the watch along, because I think it would be amazing if we could have this live recording while watching an episode of Nitro, have a special guest running from Thunder.
And lightning. Oh, I see what you mean. Thunder as in the TV show, not Thunder and Lightning the wrestlers.
That's right. I was actually going to refuse.
Sorry, I'll switch my brain on in a minute.
Yeah, you should, because I was legit going to refuse to say anything else into the microphone until you acknowledged my hilarious joke. But is it safe to say, Dean, that after 6 days of sweltering heat, you guys are just begging for that storm to blow? Not like that.
Yeah, I am a sweaty, more of a sweaty mass than usual. So yeah, it's
Wow.
Yeah, we need that. We need that blessed relief. We really do. But so on the subject of today's episode, we are doing another Nitro Watchalong, the 29th Nitro, which aired on March the 25th, 1996. And we were saying before we started recording, but for both of us, this episode rings some kind of familiar bells, does it not?
Yeah, so from my point of view, and I think I might have, do you know what? I've not listened back to check whether I mentioned this on air on the last watch along or if I said this to you off the air. So I'll repeat it just in case. And for anyone who didn't catch that last watch along, our very most recent episode, if you want to go back through the archives, by the way, because wcw.podbean.com. So I made mention to Dean on or off the air that having a quick look at the results of this, It was bringing back some long-term memory triggers that back during the time just after the ITV worldwide years, my access to WCW hit a bit of a wall for a little while, including the very peak of the NWO, the absolute first time around. I was not a live real time enjoyer of it. It came a little bit afterwards. So I only got to enjoy a few episodes, even vaguely close to when they actually aired, around this time, bang in the mid 90s, early Nitro era.
Yeah.
One of them was this, and I can't remember at the time, it was either on our version of TNT, which sounds about right, or Bravo, because there was a thing where it was actually on Bravo for a while over here, wasn't it?
I think it
Um,
was also on like something like Turner Classic Movies.
yeah, but
It definitely aired on a Friday night. I remember that.
somewhere on our cable before we in our household turned off the cable for a few years, and it came back it for us in '99 when we jumped on the digital revolution. Um, I was able to catch this episode, and yeah, it's going to be strange watching it back again with more context this time. Obviously, I've acquired a lot more WCW knowledge in the interim, and we are ready for this, having watched 28 episodes in a row, like in chronological order, not in a row. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this and seeing what brings back memories, what feels a bit different, how it hits me now. It's just some random Joe Blogs episode, but on a personal level, it's gonna bring out different reactions from us. I feel at times.
Yeah. Our first match is Randy Savage and Dave Finlay, or Belfast Bruiser as he's known, and that certainly rings a bell with me. So I'm wondering if maybe this was like yeah, as we've mentioned, the first episode on that new channel that we had access to. I mean, I didn't have access
Potentially.
to it. Yeah, I didn't have access to it myself, but someone I knew did, and they'd record it for me. So maybe it did. But to put you all in the picture, that this is the episode the day after Uncensored '96. Now
Gag
we
reflex.
watched. I'm sorry. We watched Uncensored '96, so you don't have to. Way back in episode 9 of this podcast. So yeah, that was originally recorded on March the 7th, 2018. If you wanted to go find that, and we recorded that with the godfather of Hooked on Wrestling himself, Mr. Paul Benson. First of 3 appearances for him.
I'm glad we made him watch that show because he's a bastard.
I think he chose it himself, didn't he?
Exactly. I'm glad he suffered, the bastard. He made us suffer. We made him suffer. Bastard.
So, if you're wondering what happened, we built it up last week, where the alliance to end Hulkamania, all of its participants were revealed. Brian Pillman wanted nothing to do with it. They brought in the old Zeus called Z Gangster and Jeep Swenson, who they called the Final Solution, before someone realised that that was really, really not a good idea to call someone that, and they renamed him the Ultimate
Oh.
Solution, following large amounts of protest. And do you know, the only thing I can think with that is, thank God Twitter wasn't around. Can you imagine the quite justified and quite right shitstorm that would have ensued had Twitter been around when they decided to call Jeep Swenson that name?
Yes, you have a point with that, but it's worth remembering that WCW had a knack for managing to grossly offend people, even without social media. You know, all they just send Cowboy Bill Watts up into headquarters to go offend the entire black population of baseball. You know, basically.
Oh, he did an interview with the Torch, wasn't it, that got him fired, basically.
Yeah, was it Hank Aaron? I want to
Hank
say.
Aaron, yeah.
Yeah, like a sporting legend who is not going to appreciate someone turning around and saying, yeah, uh, restaurants should have the right to just choose not to serve people based on their skin colour.
Oh, Bill.
Yeah, that was
Restaurants
pretty much it.
Restaurants should have the right to not serve people based on whether they're a prick or not. Not because of their skin colour, Bill. Come on, get with the programme. Fuck's sake.
Well, it's a similar thing to if you think when people cite their right to free speech when it comes to coming out with hate speech, you could use the same logic here. Yeah, sure, people have the right to turn away custom based on skin colour, and they also have the right to go out of business because of that stupid decision 2 days
Precisely.
later. So yeah, if we're
Yes.
gonna do this free country yarn, yeah, it goes both ways, mate.
Well, it's the old analogy or the old comparison that was it free speech goes with responsibility because if I'm sitting now, this was obviously pre-COVID. Do you remember the days of crowded cinemas or movie theatres, as our American friends will know them as? You have the right to freedom of speech. However, if you shout fire in a crowded movie theatre, then you have to take the consequences and the responsibility of your action. So yeah, it's I don't know. It seems that yeah, social media has brought the worst out in people in a lot of ways. I think.
Yeah, it just kind of puts a spotlight on what was already there and gives people maybe another way to try and justify doing it. Similar to other ways, I go to a lot of live sports. I'm a sports fan, but there is a certain culture, especially certain sports, especially football over here in Britain, where people see it as an opportunity. If they go to a live football match, they can go and abuse the footballers and swear in front of kids sitting 2 seats away, and it's okay because that's football. People are just looking for excuses to be horrific, basically.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean it's something I posted on Twitter a few months ago that, as you know, I'm half Arabic, but my mum is English, my dad is Arabic. I have got my mum's colouring, so I don't look really to the untrained eye, you might say. I don't look Arabic. People therefore assume that I am, just white Caucasian, and I have had a number of times when people have said something racist against Arabs to me, thinking that I'm in inverted commas on their side, not realizing that I am actually one of the Arabs that they are that they're slagging off. So it's I've seen the kind of the flip side of what a lot of other people have experienced.
Yeah, and it's worth adding that the first rule of social toxicity like that, whether it's a race thing or anything else where someone's being that horrible, is if someone's willing to say to you something horrible about someone else and you think, that's funny, just remember, as soon as you're out of earshot, imagine what they're saying about you. It's
Hmm.
what if people remember that, I think the world would honestly be scared into being a nicer place because you'd realise it really goes both ways.
Well, that was an in-depth preamble, wasn't it?
Wow, yeah.
I didn't even get onto what the fuck's going on with your football club, but we'll leave
I
that for
don't
another
want to
day.
get into that. I'd rather preach for 15 minutes and drive away what little audience we have than have to talk about Charlton Athletics, to be honest, because it's depressing.
Listen up, slapnuts. That's right. This is Jeff Jarrett, the chosen one, and you're listening to Because WCW. Now choke on that.
Okay, so we will get our Nitro all queued up. So as I've said, if you do want to listen along with this, then we are watching the 29th episode of Nitro, which originally aired on March the 25th, 1996. We are on 000000. And Liam, are you ready?
I'm super ready. I mean, I'm not ready for the burning buildings because it's hot enough as it is, but hey, at least they'll feel lifelike.
This is very true.
Mm,
Okay, so we will press play in 3, 2, 1, go.
there they are.
Indeed.
It really is a three-dimensional burning building. I can see it and I can feel it.
I feel it, yeah. So, of course, we start with the Hulkster because everything centers around him.
And he's a heat machine, brother.
So, we've just got Hogan and Savage and Luger and Sting on the beginning there. I don't think Flair was on anyway.
That did seem a little truncated, didn't it, that intro?
Hmm. So, We are live as live can get because Raw is pre-taped, so expect Eric to come out with some spoilers.
Expect Eric to be Eric.
Yeah, the only weekly live wrestling show. So we got the US title, the World Tag title, and the World Heavyweight title on the line.
Night of Champions.
And yeah, Flair v Giant.
Ah.
First of all, it's back to what the fuck has he made that poor dog wear today?
Oh, God. And more importantly, what the fuck is Mongo wearing? He's not exactly winning any fashion awards tonight.
He's coordinating with the dog. The dog is wearing some kind of cow patterned cowboy hat and poncho, and Mango has got similar patches on the shoulders of his shirt.
Oh, man. Is this similar to like when someone has alopecia or something and they have to shave their head and then their partner shaves their head in the show support?
In solidarity, possibly, or I mean, I don't know many people who, when they're looking in their closet in the morning, think, "What have I got that goes with what the dog has got?"
Well, there's Mongo. I'm sure there's a few
Yeah.
others.
So we are kicking off with the Macho Man. So as we mentioned in the preamble, this is Randy Savage against the Belfast Bruiser Dave Finlay. So the question is, of course, Liam, is this going to fit and follow the tried and tested Macho Man Nitro formula?
I'm kind of hoping the Bruise will get a little bit more out of him. I honestly can't remember exactly how this match goes, but we'll see. More importantly, I want to point out that Finley's using his classic WCW theme that he used for the most part of his time in WCW here, and I'm bringing this up in the hopes that one of our listeners, who might end up being a guest at one point, will pick this for a pay-per-view episode as the theme, because I love this theme. It's generic, but it's really cool.
And I love this jacket. I mean, Finlay has owned that jacket for a long time. I remember him wearing that at the Fairfield Halls in Croydon.
Well, at least, go on.
There you go for it.
I was just going to say, at least we know who emerged from the dark alley when him and Warlords went in there.
And basically, Finley's look at this point is directly lifted from what he was wearing in Europe. He's got the same moustache and the mullet, and you'll notice he's going a little bit grey, so that's where he will start eventually to dye his hair blonde. And by coincidence or otherwise, the Macho Man is wearing Irish green and white whilst taking on Northern Ireland's Dave Finlay.
Interesting that you bring that up. The only observation I was going to make about his outfit is that, yes, it ranks highly when we scale just how gaudy his outfits are. This is a pretty loud outfit, but I have to admit, I kind of like this one. I didn't even make the Ireland connection.
It's not vomit inducing. It looks like if they ever brought out the short-lived mint flavour Slim Jim, this was the outfit Macho Man would wear to advertise it.
A mint Slim Jim. I would try it just for the sake of it.
It would be terrible.
I know, but I would. I've had a deep fried Milky Way bar, for crying out loud. I would try that.
Do you know, if there's one place in the world that would do that, it's Japan.
Absolutely. I ate a wasabi Kit Kat in Japan.
Oh yeah, you've been to Japan, haven't you?
I have been to Japan. Have you been to Japan?
Not yet. One day.
But I haven't managed Terry Funk, to be fair. I've got that going
That's
against
very
me.
true. Yeah. Terry Funk wrestles a lot in Japan, so the Venn diagram is linked by Terry Funk.
Venn diagram.
Here we go. Savage v Finlay.
See, this is we've made mention about matches that intrigue us on an episode of TV, and you've got to set the goal a little differently when it comes to TV compared to pay-per-view. And on TV, matches like Sting Malenko, Ric Flair versus, what was it, Buff Bagwell, things like that, it's mixing it up a little bit. And it's weird to see Eric Bischoff greenlighting a lot of this stuff. And when we got to 98, 99 Nitro, when, at a time where they had their absolute peak and then they fell down from it, Bischoff absolutely refused to mix it up and give us things like Hogan versus Booker T and, Raven versus the Macho Man. Stuff like that would have kept us watching Nitro a little bit longer.
Yeah. And this is, a really interesting clash of styles, clash of history. And also you've got two guys in there that can, legit handle themselves. I mean, Finlay is one of the known to be one of the toughest guys in the business. On the Haku scale, basically.
I'm encouraged so far. They're starting slow. I'm hoping Finley's not going to start dominating right from here, because that would be your Randy Savage formula. That he wastes no time in going on the defensive to whoever his opponent is, because he then hits a couple of axe handles and the elbow.
Oh, big sell of the forearm uppercut or the European uppercut.
Really putting that over as his big thing. It's good.
Because as I mentioned in the commentary, that he had that brutal match with Regal the night before,
Of course.
and Regal's nose was broken and splattered all over his face, and they are putting that across as being done by the forearm uppercut.
Hi, Annie.
Savage is now on the offense. Oh, we hit that post pretty hard, didn't we? Jesus.
This is it's a good start so far, and the crowd are into it.
Well, Macho's one of those guys that the crowd will always be up for.
He has slotted into this first match of the TV hour nicely, hasn't he? And of course, with the flirtations he's had with a world title throughout the Nitro era, couple of title reigns already. He will do some duty in the top match on the show as well. But this is definitely not the first time he's been the first big name out at that curtain.
And save for a few moments, literally a few seconds of offense, it has been all Finlay.
Yeah, it's almost like I jinxed it. Just as it was looking like they were going for the feeling out process, that surefire sign that a match is looking at, at least 12, 13 minutes in duration. It wasn't long before Savage just started giving him a lot, which is, I don't want to criticise that too much, but you know where it goes from there. It gets a little bit formaic.
And another thing I find interesting is that from watching Finlay in Britain, the ring, as you know, the ring in Britain, the rings are a lot smaller and therefore people look bigger. And I always would have thought that even someone like Finlay would be like dwarfed by the Americans. But I mean, Savage is bigger, but not an awful lot bigger than Finlay. Savage was a legit heavyweight.
He's got that low centre of gravity as well. He's stout. He's got that sort of physique that benefited guys like Rhino and such. Because Rhino wasn't super tall, but he had the build that gave him credence as a heavyweight.
Yeah. Oh, big miss. And, yep, look at that. One error. Savage is going straight up. We have absolutely nailed on, stuck to the formula.
Here comes the elbow. Out of nowhere almost. And do you know what? It's worth, as much as we'll mock that formula, it's worth saying I did enjoy that match, but they got my hopes up because they started slow. I was like, are they going to give this like 10 minutes? That probably ran 5. Typical Savage formula.
That was 5 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yep. That is a Savage formula. You don't have to time it. If he's running the formula, that's where we're going. It's like if you watch a chicken brown, you'll know it's been in for about the same amount of time. Um, I know me and my analogies. I'm sorry. Did you hear Heenan? He turned around. He had disappointment in the tone of his voice when he said, I honestly thought it was going to go a little more toe to toe." It sounded like he wanted it to be a bit more of a battle,
Mm.
and it should have been, but it
Oh
was
no, it was a
enjoyable.
good TV match. It was,
Yeah, it
big
was.
name coming out, and
Pass fail, it's a pass.
yeah, he sticks to the formula because the formula works.
Uh, It just makes you wish they'd have done something down the line. I mean, someone please tweet us and correct us, because WCW on Twitter, if they did indeed have another match that ran longer than the Savage 5 minute formula, let us know, because I'll seek that. But to my knowledge, they never did wrestle again the singles match on TV. I don't think.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Hmm.
Here comes Mean Gene. Who's he got?
The Nature Boy. See, now I'm going to be really sad here. I'm going to predict that the women with him, Elizabeth and Woman, are going to throw money out to the crowd. It's going to be Savage's money. And I think
Oh,
Elizabeth is already holding some. So yeah, this is the thing. Little parts of this show will come crashing back to me. I just remember them doing a promo where they throw Savage's money into the crowd. Elizabeth showing more evidence of the heel hotness formula. Ever since her turn, she just got so much more attractive, and I do welcome any fans who find the male type attractive, because that's not really a realm of mine. I'd love them to let us know some insight. Does that work as well? Are heels more attractive on that side of the gender aspect? Because to me, I don't know. What do you think, then? It's the heel turn that does it.
it's it's the it's the danger. I
Yeah.
think
They have a bit more of a smirk rather than that really grating generic smile that baby faces
Mm,
feel like they have to do. And I don't know. Look at
they're
Woman
having more
flirting with
fun.
Mean Gene.
So Flair is now singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands," predating Bray Wyatt.
I think he's going to hit that Nature Boy sweet spot of a promo here. Not too coked up, but still enough about it. Maybe just a quick snort.
Macho Man's former better half, now with the Nature Boy. And if you've been following wrestling in storyline, Ric Flair has been waiting for this moment since 1992.
We just
He is
need a
this has
centerfold.
been yeah this has been like 3 4 years in the 4 years in the making.
So he's on to Luger now. So So it looks like the failure of, all 8 hills last night has brought us back on the on off, on off, on off, on off, on off, on off relationship
Yeah.
between the Horseman and anyone associated with Jimmy Hart.
Can
He,
can I just point out here? Just watch Woman. She is absolutely fantastic here. The moment that Flair tells Mean Gene to stop looking at Woman, she starts looking sultry at Mean Gene, just stroking his chin with her finger. Mean Gene nearly cracks up laughing, but she just the way she reacts to what Flair says is absolutely brilliant. And that is one of the things she was fantastic at.
yeah, and
Those
this,
facial expressions.
yeah, and this is a guy we've really complimented, who is like the quintessential interviewer. The way he would guide the more inexperienced guys through
Yeah.
through their interviews, and you've got the quintessential valet in Woman, and they both just play their roles to perfection, while Flair
Mm.
does his thing. And as I said, for me, that was a sweet spot Flair promo. Enough of his silliness, but not too much, because there are plenty of times where Flair just completely overdoes it. That was not one of them.
No. So here we go. JL, Jerry Lynn under a mask. Why they couldn't just have him as Jerry Lynn, no one knows. But hey,
I feel like we've already had this conversation on a
I
watch
think
along,
we
but I'm
have.
happy to repeat it. I'll get to the bottom line of it. Is Booker at the time, Kevin Sullivan, when they were trying to decide on what his luchador name should be under the mask, just said, "Oh fuck, call him JL." And Jerry Lynn told Power Slam magazine back in the day that that was when he knew that he might as well just take every paycheck that comes his way and see how long they last, because it probably won't last long.
And here comes fellow podcaster Conan.
Who, much like his opponent tonight, really should get rid of the mask and other outfits, because when these two started to dress a little more conservatively and started being a bit more themselves, look at that, they got over.
Yep.
And that's quite incredible considering Jerry Lynn. You know, he's a tremendous wrestler, but he was always very ordinary. You know, but I think ECW is a good place for that, because the sheer volume of his work, and when he did do a promo, if he was pissed off, he'd be pissed off. If he was humble, he'd be humble, and there's a certain relatability to that.
Mm.
But if he tried to cut a promo like good promo guys do, no, he couldn't do it. Look at those trunks of Conan.
They are fancy.
That's polite. If that was Mongo wearing that, I don't think you'd change your subjects or watch along. I mean, this is Conan before he got really, really lethargic, and Jerry Lynn's Jerry Lynn. So if they're just told to get their shit in, so to speak, this should be
Yeah.
fun. And you remember a few weeks ago that Conan versus Devon Storm was just an absolute car wreck blur in the nicest way, in a way where you'd
Yes,
want
of
it to be.
course. Crash bang wallop. Yeah.
So hopefully we get similar here. And it's worth me saying, I do not remember this match at all from when I first watched
No.
this episode. This completely lost me.
No sign of the thunderstorm here yet, by the way.
No, but I will say it's not as hot as it was last. Last night was the worst, I think.
Oh yeah. It's
Mi-
cool.
Go
It's cooling down. It's cooling down, but it's hot in the ring, Liam Happ.
on. Good little starting process. But
Yeah,
yeah,
monkey flip lands on his feet and the drop kick to the knee, and
DDT.
the commentators are of course not talking about the match, but talking about Macho Man, who apparently is going ballistic in the back.
Ballistic that he was made to wrestle Fit Finlay for only 5 minutes, or was it the whole money thing?
Apparently, it's the whole money thing.
Fair enough. He needs to get his priorities in order, if you ask me.
What should the Macho Man's priority be?
Well, as Mongo said, if you mess with a man's pride and his bank account, that's what you expect.
Yeah, but those vomit-inducing outfits don't come for free. You know, he needs his money to buy more of them.
Yeah, I mean, that will mess with Mango's bank account, and just being caught on camera wearing them, it's got to mess with his pride.
You'd think so.
Conan really, really stretching Lynn in innovative ways here. You think if he'd have done more of this while wrestling later on, he wouldn't get blown up, and yet his matches wouldn't be so tedious.
Yeah, but the camera work there didn't really show you what he was doing. They kept it
True.
on the hard cam. You couldn't really see the intricacies of what he's doing. The crowd didn't seem to be into it.
And then your last bastion in that respect is to have the commentators hammer it home, and they're talking about something else. So,
Yeah, they talk about the fucking Macho Man. So,
because we say that about WWE, as annoying as their commentary can be, the one thing you got to admit is that with WWE, if they want you to care about something, they won't let it escape your your
Oh,
attention.
they will hammer it home and hammer it
Yes.
home and hammer it home a third time, definitely.
And if they don't make mention of it, you know they don't give a fuck about it, and you have a reason not to care yourself, really.
Yeah. So both men are down at the moment. And it's fair to say the crowd are not into this. There are people. I could just look at the crowd there. There's people just sitting there with their arms folded. The entire front inner ringside section just sitting there. No one's really responding to anything.
Yeah, see, when you have the Benoit's, the Guerreros in a match like this with more technical effort and work rate, they bring the sort of intensity, and they have a slightly higher profile at this stage as well, which gets more of a gap, which gets more of a pop. I don't know why I said gap there.
And I mean, Conan has been around for in WCW for a good while at this point. I mean, he's the United States champion for fuck's sake, so they should know who he is and care about him.
Yeah, that belt took an extended vacation as far as relevance, didn't it, in WCW?
Yeah, I mean, we are in the US title era of Kensuke Sasaki and One Man Gang.
Yeah, and then they have occasional moments where they follow the fuck it, stick it on Sting formula, which normally pops it back up again.
Yeah, because someone's got to beat Sting for it, and they'll get the rub from that.
He was always
So
that go-to.
yeah, Sting was the go-to for everything, basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything in WCW. So there was a very nice gut wrench powerbomb that got a 2 count from Conan just a moment ago.
Yeah,
He is definitely in charge of this match now.
do you know what I was going to say? Some of these sequences are getting more and more blatantly rehearsed. You can see them kind of getting into position and that, which is not something you want to openly notice because it really pulls you out of it. So it's a sort of seeing the zipper on the werewolf costume in a movie sort of thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Oh, Mongo's mad at something. He's uttered weasel at Heenan.
Yep. I didn't catch what it was, I have to say, but second look
Hanging
DDT.
DDT. Yeah, that was decent. They screwed up the count there because it looked like they're setting up a thing where he's really close to the ropes, Conan, and it looks inevitable that he's going to do the foot on the rope to protect that really good move. And between he and Nick Patrick, they didn't know if it was going to be a kick out or a foot on the rope. Even the commentators were slating it for being a slow count. And a
Very
nice
nice
finish.
Alabama slam into a rolling bridge
Yeah.
for the 3 count. The crowd are reacting a bit to it now, but it's not been
So it was 3 or 4 really nice moves, swimming in a soup of just over rehearsed, tedious,
yeah, that
false.
last minute was good.
It's a sort of match that the real work rate kings would pull off, which is a shame because we would consider Jerry Ling to be one of those, but this just wasn't it.
And looking at that replay, I think Conan's shoulders were down as well, actually. But let's not split hairs.
Just to really hammer home who was at fault for that match being underwhelming. Not going to name any names.
No. So we've still got your favourite tag team to come of Luger and Sting defending the World Tag Team titles.
God's tag team.
Sorry?
They're God's tag team, let's be honest.
Yeah, after, of course, they were on different matches in Nitro. Luger was in that 8-man clusterfuck cage match, and Sting teamed up with Booker T in the never-ending match against the Road Warriors.
But don't forget Luger's key role in that Chicago Street Ball. He was oiling up backstage, and when the fight came to them, they attacked. He and Jimmy Hart made sure that one of the Road Warriors was out of the picture, and Stevie Ray as well got involved. It was a bit of a mess.
Just a bit. So here comes Disco Inferno. He's wearing Diamond Dallas Page's diamond rings.
Because DDP is now out at WCW, having lost to the Booty Man at Uncensored.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing he got them from the pawn shop. Is the line they're going with? Speaking of the Booty Man, we're about to have him inflicted upon us again. Oh, and by the way, speaking of theme tunes on this episode of Nitro, and them
Yes.
being used on pay-per-view episodes we record, if anyone requests the Booty Man theme, I may just shut this whole project down.
Just the whole look, the look on his face, everything. This just makes my blood boil because it's. I mean, I'm not saying Ed Leslie. I'm sure is a nice bloke and that, but it's like this is just the most blatant case of getting your mates in.
Who the
And,
hell thought this was a good idea? Like, if you're going to insist Ed Leslie's on the show, all right, but the Booty Man.
I mean, I preferred him as the Zodiac. He was better then.
Can't they just turn him face and say, look, he's Ed Leslie. It wasn't really in Dungeon of Doom. He's Ed Leslie. He's gonna give Hogan and Savage some frying pans to help him out. Just say that.
Yeah. Just keep him as that. Just keep him as the bloke who provides people with frying pans.
Yeah.
Change his name to Robert Dias or something, and away we go.
Chef Ed Leslie. Between
Yeah.
that and old lady Kevin Sullivan, I think we could have done a great job devising the gimmicks on Nitro.
Yeah. The crowd are all distracted by something going on down the aisle. I don't know what it is.
Well, I
It's
can't believe you had to ask.
Kimberly, the booty babe. The booty babe. It was a different time, Liam. And why is she now suddenly like this squeaky, fawning teenage girl all of a sudden?
Oh, and the Booty Man has solicited a spank on the bottom from her, which apparently powered him up. And to be absolutely clear, he wasn't being beaten down by Disco Inferno. He'd already been
No.
in control, but he needed a power up anyway to complete the squash. That was
And
fucking embarrassing.
the high knee, go on, say it.
I'm too depressed to say it.
Fair enough.
That was a rotten couple of minutes, and they kept it short, and it still
It was
lasted.
1 minute,
Oh god.
14 seconds.
To answer your question, while these two swap spit on our TV screen, they basically just transferred him straight into what they wanted Johnny B. Bad to do. And as you remember, Johnny B. Bad did not want to run the storyline where he stole Kimberly from DDP. I don't know if it
Yes.
was. I think it was for moral grounds, but you could also cite common sense grounds because Page was the heel and Johnny B. Bad was one of the most popular mid-card baby faces.
Yes. Oh, and all of a sudden, my Nitro has started to buffer, which hasn't happened at all yet.
Okay, how are you getting on there?
I'm still totally frozen on a
I've hit
graphic of
pause.
Luger and Sting.
I've hit pause because you'll have in a minute there will be a Saturday night plug, and I've paused it on Ric Flair's image showing up. So we're gonna bear with us, folks. We're gonna try and keep this rolling if we can, because we don't have to record this again. It means having to watch that last fucking match a second time.
Right, this isn't. That is. If I press play, nothing is happening.
You struggling?
Hold on. Yeah, I don't know if my internet seems to be all right. Let me just refresh. Hold on. 28:53. Hold on. That's strange. It's gone all the way back to the beginning of the Macho Man match.
I'm on 29:10. But if you want to go back to where you were, just to give it that 30
No.
seconds to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. Seems to be all right now. What time do you say you're on?
29:10.
Okay, I will pause it when I get to there.
Yeah,
So now I'm on Saturday night. Yeah, here we go.
for those of you who did decide to watch this on the network with us, first off, thank you, and secondly, sorry that we've had a bit of a thing. Yeah, we have stopped
There we
for
go.
now, and we're going to restart at
Yes.
29:10.
Also, I just have to point out that we have on that on the Saturday night, we've got a match between Sting and Dean Malenko.
Might have to dig that. I wonder if that will be a longer version. Because I
Yeah,
did, they only they went 7 to 8 minutes, I think. And
yeah,
it was
something
a
like that.
fascinating match,
Oh,
absolutely fascinating to watch.
right. I'm back ready on 29:10. Hopefully, this will behave itself for now. So,
Yeah,
in 3, 2, 1, play.
Ric Flair will also be in action.
Oh, Bobby Eaton and Dave Finlay. That'll be a good
The
match.
Giant and Big Bubba. I've said this before. We're watchalonging the wrong WCW show. That will soon change. We are 2 months away from Nitro becoming the centerpiece of the WCW weekly schedule.
Yeah, the 2-hour centerpiece, definitely.
So here comes another memorable WCW entrance theme, that of the American males.
And Eric Bischoff has, for some reason, on air, just decided to out the fact that Tony Schiavone's real first name is Noah.
I completely missed that. I think I was distracted by all this denim.
So the American males, babyface tag team, challenging for the world tag team titles.
The answer to the question, what happens if a bejeweler meets double denim? The American males.
Yep.
And here comes Dave Penzer's favourite WCW theme of all time, Man Called Sting. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. He hated it.
He does this, he does that.
Sting or Dave Penzer?
The music starts with he does this, he does that. It's the best lyrics ever.
So Luger
Luger
Watch.
doesn't. Yeah, Luger doesn't have someone to give his belts to, so he's had to just sling them on the floor to pose, and now he picks them up again.
Yeah, they're going
World
pose
tag title
for
in one
pose
hand.
to set the pyro off.
Yeah, world tag title in one hand, TV title in the other. He's enthusiastically slapping hands. No sign of Jimmy Hart. Big smile on Luger's face.
No. Can you see what he's doing?
When Sting is watching.
When Sting's watching, he's all smiles and slapping hands. And when Sting turns his back, he can't get far away enough from him. I love this tag team.
This is such a good gimmick. This is, as you've said before, this is prime Luger. This is his best work.
Character work, absolutely. Sting's buddy with his opponents. Obviously, there's long been a kayfabe storyline of Bagwell in particular being a Sting protege, dating back to 91, 92.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to elaborate upon is that most die-hard wrestling fans will agree that the tag team partners who hate each other trope is overdone, it's cliche, it's rouserific, it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily equate to all tag team dysfunction. I've got a lot of time for having a little bit of an edge to a tag team. It's just Russo and other such writers would always have it down as two people who are actively feuding, can't stand each other, but still somehow beat established teams. Sting and Luger are friends. They have good chemistry. They can wrestle well together. But one is a bit of a shady character, and one is virtuous, but he has a lot of time for the hill. Kevin Steen and El Generico back on the independent circuit when they were teaming together. You know, Generico tolerated Steen. Steen was horrible to him, but he took it and he took it. He was a saint for taking it. But when they wrestled together, no one could touch them. Samoa Joe and Magnus in TNA. They were thrown together and they just had this instant chemistry and they looked at each other like, I can't believe this is working. You can do it in so many ways without Russo in it.
Well, Scotty Riggs has taken over on Lex Luger at the moment.
Luger's unhappy. Blindside attack. Little
Eric
subtle
Bischoff
signs.
just talking through the tag team division. He said you got the Steiners, the Road Warriors, Luger and Sting, Nasty Boys, Harlem Heat.
It's
So all some big established teams there.
There are, but it's worth pointing out that as much as he's putting over the depth of the tag team division, on the last watch along in particular, and a few others, the tag team situation hasn't been very good. The Road Warriors situation has been a confusing mess. Some of the match quality has been really poor, so it's not as great as it looks on paper. But Sting and Luger are awesome.
But then that's the commentator's job to, hype up and shill the product.
I know, but when you say it in the face of utter crap, as most politicians show, you just lose all credibility. There is a technique and art to spin.
So Bagwell's come in and Luger's just immediately backed off and he wants the tag and he's tagged Sting.
Yeah.
Sting doesn't look too happy with that.
Yeah, well, Luger has not got on great so far against either American male, and he's got frustrated and he has cheap shotted and roughed them up outside the ring. Tempers flaring. He's tagged out to Sting, and now he's being a happy babyface cheerleader, and Sting's like, dude.
So yeah, hyping that Sting and Bagwell know each other very well. Very high-paced piece of action there, culminating in a back body drop.
Now, this is two guys WCW could have had worked together a bit more in 1999 when the matchups, the pairings were really starting to get stale. I think Buff Bagwell and the icon Sting, the man who got them through the worst of the New World Order.
Yep.
And while citing this rich and storied history and the status as mentor protege, that's something a story they could have told with very little effort.
Bagwell tags out to Riggs.
And the crowd's really up for this part. Firstly, you had Luger getting them going with the friction with his opponents, and now Sting's just got him out of the palm of his hand with the woos and the babyface showdowns with his friends. This is such, storytelling wise, it's just so easy to watch so far, and they've not gone out of first gear yet. They may not even have to. And Luger's selling for these two. And commentary just talking about anything but the action in the ring.
About the match. Yeah. Talking about the Chicago Bears for some reason, I think.
Well, Mango. That's why.
Mango.
Not to condone it, because it's ridiculous. But, yeah. So, at least now, Bischoff is tying into when Luger went to hit Savage or Hogan with a loaded glove in that triple cage debacle.
Yeah.
They're playing on the fact that there was a hesitation because the babyfaces ducked, and he should have easily seen that they ducked and he was going to hit Flair instead, but he hit Flair anyway, which I think is why Flair was cutting a bit of a promo on Luger, setting him up as a world title challenger. He's really flirting with that heel face line.
And he's now had a a furious volley of offense against Bagwell. It looks like he's lost his temper with him for some reason. Bagwell back with a flying forearm.
Luger's been really good in this. Not just the character work, but he's given his opponents a lot. He's not going to be on the level of an Eddie Guerrero in ring, but he's doing everything right as a professional in this match. And on the hot tag, Sting is not running wild on his opponents. He's going 50-50 with Riggs.
Mm. Oh, inside cradle out of nowhere, and Bagwell cut off Luger from making the save. I tell you what, Sting is putting the miles on the clock here, running around the ring like nothing, and gets a pin with a crossbody block pretty much out of nowhere. And Bagwell didn't want to make the save. He hesitated.
Bagwell kind of did a thing where you don't need me to save here, do you? What? Oh, because obviously in most tag team matches, partners don't run in for the save for every near fall. They tend
No.
to do it when they think, oh crap, this could be it. This could be curtains.
Sting raising the hand of the American males after finally getting his tag team belt off of Luger.
Because Luger's just walking off, celebrating the win.
Yeah.
But Sting is checking on his friends, and they're all posing together. You'd think that would be a prime time for Bagwell to actually be more similar to Luger in wanting to get out of there. Because they could have sowed the seeds of a split there. As far as I remember, it wasn't until the end of '96 that he actually split from Riggs.
Yeah, it wasn't for a while, yeah.
But that finish did look like they were going to do something there, like maybe the males are in trouble there.
And Jimmy Hart makes his first appearance. We are straight into our main event. Here is the Giant when he was in best shape of his career.
He swiftly dispatched Loch Ness at the pay-per-view, which obviously, for everything we've discussed on any episode covering this era, is completely the right thing considering Loch Ness's situation. They wanted it to be more of a run. They wanted like a Hogan feud, I'm guessing, out of it. But the hand they were dealt, I'm guessing, Dean, they thought, right, let's give him to Giant. Let's get Giant ready for what is to come for the Giant.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to dispatch of another genuine Giant just only serves to put the Giant over as literally as the Giant of WCW.
And I think,
so, can he now add the world title to his resume?
yes, and I think I remember enjoying that Giant Loch Ness match most because they just kept it short, and the Giant I think busted out some agility as well, and
Yeah.
it served its purpose to a T as a result.
Yeah, it was very short. Yeah, the Giant went for a shoulder charge, I seem to remember, and tumbled over the top rope.
When you've got one of the two really big men in a huge big man match like that, bumping like that, and then pulling off moves like drop kicks and stuff, it really could. He's up against the old school of big towering monster, a big heaving, overweight man mountain who doesn't move very fast, who finishes with an elbow drop. And you've got like the new model. Oh, here's the money throw I was referring. They're throwing the money on Ric Flair's match ring walk. Here we go. I knew I remembered this.
Although most of the money is flying back into the aisle.
Probably because it's fake. They're like, no, this isn't real. Oh,
the Macho
behind.
Man is there in the background trying to get his money back. Was he trying to get his money back or just trying to get to Flair?
Whichever.
There's Duggan, Guerrero. Flair is walking down towards Macho Man.
Flair's loving this. He's gonna put. Oh, woman got a slap
just
in.
gives him a slap while he's there. Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, what kind of friends are Duggan and Guerrero? Let him tear Ric Flair limb from limb.
definitely.
So yeah, just quickly, what I was saying was, I just thought it was really impressive when you have a modern day giant like the Giant doing bumps and moves and agility like it is at Uncensored against your typical old school, almost immobile, guy who barely throw an elbow drop. It really put the Giant over as, the new standard of a big man. So I like that about that.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, for those who remember Ric Flair and the Giant in '96, I just want to point out that this is not the title match between these two. They would wrestle for the title again. I believe it was also on a Nitro, but this is the first meeting between the two, and it's an
Yeah,
interesting one.
they've done tag matches, haven't they? We had
Mm.
oh no, they were on the same team. That was Hogan and Savage v Flair and the Giant
Yes,
at Clash, wasn't it?
and there's not been an elaborate split between the two sides, and to be honest, they've done enough of that. It is between the Horseman and the Dungeon. It's so on off 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 on off. But it's getting to the point now where they're not even transitioning. They're not even showing us an argument or a falling out. So it's getting a bit tedious. But I'm hoping this match is nonetheless enjoyable.
And another thing you got to bear in mind here, just goes to show how stupid that clusterfuck cage match was. So we have just seen the night before Ric Flair failed to win a match where there was an 8-on-2 advantage in his favour.
Not just failed to win, he ate the pinfall. The world champion.
He did, didn't he?
All those throwaways in that match, Meng, Barbarian, two guys they basically just brought in because they were big and were not going to show up again. And
Yeah.
Flair got pinned.
Jesus. And now the next night he's defending his title against the biggest man in the company. And we're meant to, we've now got to take him seriously.
And he's
After
already
seeing
given,
that.
yeah, he's already given Giant a lot, bouncing off him on shoulder blocks as he should. But I've got to say, I love the opening trash talk between the two. The cocky champion Flair just walked up in his face and was mouthing off to him, and Giant's response was to just smirk and casually put his hand around the throat of Flair, like just purposefully, gently, like I could just grab you anytime I want. I kind of liked it.
Also, it's worth watch this match and then watch Flair v Elegante. And there are two guys both with similar amounts of wrestling experience at this point, and the difference between the two matches, because Flair is doing the same kind of thing in both of those matches. He's doing the typical Ric Flair wrestling a giant type stuff, but the way that Giant carries himself and just gets it compared to Elegante.
So much more mobile, first off.
Yeah.
So much more comfortable in the ring. He looks comfortable in his own skin, unlike El Gigante. And as we know now, a natural actor. He's playing to the crowd at every opportunity, the Giant.
Yes.
Imagine if Paul White had kept optimal ring shape his entire career. He'd have been peerless. Absolutely peerless.
Well, if you remember when Flair retired from WWE, he told Paul White he was the best big man he'd ever wrestled.
Yeah. I mean, I really do believe in every department of professional wrestling, you add them all up, and Paul White is one of the best, but he should have been the best. He should have been, he could have been, and he chose not to be. Oh, look at that suplex.
Beautiful.
And Flair is selling it like an oncoming freight train, which is great from him. But even without Ric Flair's sell job, as you said, he would do this for guys who needed it. But Giant's offense looks great anyway. And Flair's selling is just a cherry on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, Giant, he's still green as grass at this point. He's obviously huge. And this is where we see what Ric Flair would always do as the touring NWA World Champion, because he would fly all around America and all around the world, taking on like the local champion, and quite often the local champion was the promoter who was shit but made themselves the champion, especially in some of the more obscure states or places abroad, and he would
Giants on the
have to
top
make
rope.
them. He'd have to make them look $1 million, and Giant just went to the top rope and overshot a splash by 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah, he didn't do that very well, but I think he got
No.
away with it through the sheer awe factor of what he did. He got away with that.
Yes.
They could present that as something, the big man shouldn't have done that sort of thing in kayfabe. I felt guilty interrupting that really good story of yours, but I had to because the Giant just effortlessly went
No,
up to the top
totally.
rope and then nearly
And
killed
there's the
himself.
same. There's the same move he did against Loch Ness, that
Yep.
dive over the ropes. But yeah, this is what Flair would have to do. He would have to work with what he got to put a good match together, and that's where the Ric Flair formula match came from, because if you wrestled Ric Flair's match, he would just call it in the ring to you because he knew exactly what to do. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, and now Ric Flair's got a length of wire handed to him by a woman, and he's throttling the Giant from the outside. Pretty much acknowledging that he needs this to tame this huge, agile big man who has beaten him from pillar to post. No sold all of his most vicious chops, because Flair has really lit Giant up with his chops.
Yeah.
And
Even when Giant dove off the top rope and missed, he popped back immediately and didn't sell the chops. I suppose you could say that because he's so much bigger, that coming down from the top rope isn't such a large fall for him as for a normal sized man.
it's true. But they're really selling this as it's not just the fact that he's bigger and stronger. It's just nothing Flair can do to phase him. Those chops were fantastic earlier. Like,
Yeah.
Flair connected, they were loud, they were great chops, and Giant did not flinch.
And thumb to the eyes drops Giant to his knees, because no matter how big you are, your eyes are always going to be vulnerable. And Flair's getting cocky. He's just done the Flair strut. He's now throwing punches. But look at that. Giant just pushes him off with one hand to the floor.
Yeah, the storytelling on these last two matches of the show has just been engrossing. Just shows a good story will keep you glued to even an okay match.
And a low blow behind the referee's back, because there's one other part of the body other than the eyes that you're vulnerable to no matter how big you are, and that is the groin.
Yeah, and the referee's like, he's got the look on his face. He kind of knows what happened, but because he did not see it, he can't, within the capacity of his job, he can't just say, yeah, I think there was a low blow. So his hands are tied.
Get VAR.
Woman's having to tell Giant to get back in position so she can choke him. So maybe we're starting to get to a point now as this match starts to take its place as the longest one on the show. Giant's just starting to show a few little signs of where needs work, but still, had he kept that optimum shape, that wouldn't have been a problem in like 99, 2000, when he was like far too heavy and he weren't as good. But he had the experience by then to have covered for things like that. Ric Flair goes to the top three, guesses what happens next.
He's signaling for the choke slam. Flair is begging off, but Giant is having none of it.
He just leans over him and just calmly puts that goozle back round him. Choke slam.
Flair didn't really get up for that.
The valets are in the ring.
The valet's in, and the crowd are watching because someone's coming in. It's Arn Anderson with a chair, and Kevin Sullivan is in the ring.
But Kevin Sullivan's taken the chair from Arn after the shot.
And immediately as he turns around, Arn points at Kevin Sullivan like, yeah, it was him. And now Arn is enjoying watching this. Sullivan gets a choke slam, and Arn Anderson is pissing himself laughing.
And now he's in the eye of the storm. I remember this part very well. And here's one for Arn. They are absolutely minting the Giant here. as a top guy. Jimmy Hart's in. He's apoplectic that Giant has laid out Sullivan. But I think it's safe to say that that's the end of the Dungeon of Doom.
Thank fuck for that.
Would it be fair to say, though, Dean, as well, that this match and the way I present it, they have either thought to themselves, yeah, we're going to rematch these two and pull the trigger on the title change, or that they have decided, based on the strength of this showing and how well Flair did with him and how well Giant did himself, to be fair, maybe they thought, yeah, let's run this back in a month and pull the trigger.
So
No contest, yeah. Basically, a disqualification where the referee lost so much control, he can't actually figure out who to award the match disqualification. So he just has to throw the whole thing out.
He's just like, yeah, fuck it, let's just go home.
It is literally a fuck it finish.
Yeah.
And it works in certain instances, and I'd say, Dean, that was one of them.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say that all in all, that was a very good Nitro.
It was.
Considering the shit that preceded it 24 hours ago.
And do you know what? I weren't the biggest fan of Conan, JL, etc., etc. But even that, on a pass-fail thing, you can let that slide. I would love to just cut out that Booty Man Squasher Disco Inferno out. That was the only thing that was actively offensive, but there was plenty of good on there. Savage Finlay, we don't want that to be Savage formula, but it was a good match. The last two matches were riveting for TV matches. They told great stories. You can't ask for much more. That was a very good episode of Nitro.
That was a very good one, yeah, definitely. So, I just to, as I always like to do this, the Raw that opposed it was a taped Raw, and that saw Shawn Michaels beat Leif Cassidy, who is of course Al Snow. Hunter Hearst Helmsley beat his mate Aldo Montoya, and the main event was Ahmed Johnson beating Owen Hart in a brief match by DQ. So nothing to write home about there. I think I would imagine WCW knew that it wasn't the best show. They have therefore loaded things up on Nitro to hopefully for them, they want to win the ratings battle there.
Yeah.
So next week we do have a match between Flair and Luger for the world title. So we've got two world title defenses.
They were hyping that, weren't they?
Yeah. Sting takes on the Giant. We've got a three-way tag match between the Road Warriors, the Nasty Boys, and the Steiners. Plus, we have another tag match. I'm afraid it's Hulk Hogan teaming up with the Booty Man against Arn Anderson and Kevin Sullivan. So interesting that they're teaming up after what we've just seen.
Yeah, they mentioned that on commentary right at the very end, and they said like how they're going to get on there. So, yeah, do you know what? It does seem to be, even though Hulk Hogan's back and Booty Man's there with him. Other than that, there does seem to be a lot of focus now. Now that we've got that out of the way, it'll be interesting to see how the road to the infamous arrival of a certain couple of outsiders goes. Because if I remember correctly, Nitro wasn't too shabby even before that fateful night on May 27th, 1996. We just had to get the Triple Cage ridiculousness out of the way first.
Yes, and so we well, as you can see, we've still got Hogan, and I think he'll have another appearance, at least one more before his time is up for the big heel turn. But definite thumbs up for me.
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed that, and hopefully there'll be more of that than there is of the shows like last week as we run up to that big moment.
Yes, indeed. Right, well, that brings us to an end. I guess we will be back very shortly. We are, we all going well. Will be our next one will be a pay-per-view review. We are just teeing up some guests, and we're also very much looking forward to the impending 25th anniversary of the first ever Monday Nitro. We will be all going well, doing something special for that, if the stars align, shall we say. So, in the meantime, thank you ever so much for taking the trouble to download us. Please spread the word. Please rate and review us and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from. And give us a follow on Twitter at BecauseWCW or follow us on Facebook.com/BecauseWCW. So, until we're back again, this is me, the Twisted Genius, Dean Ayerson, saying on behalf of my co-host Liam, Thank you for listening, and we'll see you ringside.